What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, NIO, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to talk about why the market saw a big rug pull today. We saw SPY drop over 3%. We saw other stocks in the red as well. This dragged NIO down, Tesla, and the others. So I'm going to break down what happened today with Jerome Powell, why he caused this to happen, and what's going on with the market moving forward. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention an 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. This offer ends very soon. Anyways, let's talk about the market so far. So as you guys can see, NIO is on a bit of a downtrend. The daily is looking a little bit weaker. I mean, we're expecting some downside if the market got rug pulled, if Jerome Powell caused the market to dip. And if we saw the market bounce, we could have seen NIO do the same thing, but instead the whole market came down. Right? If you look at the overall market, it's just bloody red. Everything is red. Finance is red. Health is red. Big tech is red. Tesla came tanking down. NIO came down. Pretty much almost everything is extremely red. I think health services had a couple of green, but that's pretty much it. Everything was just dumped today after FOMC. So why did this happen? I'll be talking about that over the next couple of minutes. The first thing I want to talk about is as far as NIO goes. NIO has teased images of the ET9 and its Firefly brand ahead of the NIO Day of 2024, which is just a couple of days away. This gets me very optimistic and excited to see what they end up announcing, but I can't guarantee you it's going to be enough to really cause the share price to bounce. We need strong deliveries and a very, very good incentive to really cause the share price to move more. Otherwise, NIO is showing some weakness. Volume was only at about 44.6 million, excuse me, guys. And, a little bit of a decrease in volume. Goldman Sachs still maintains a sell rating. And then on top of this, the price price ratio is still low. There's not really much changing so far. In terms of seasonality, we do see a tendency of being a little bit more red on Thursdays, about 49% of the time. And besides that, there's not really anything else that's coming out that's too crazy. We saw the Chinese sales data, which I talked about yesterday, which wasn't that bad. And I'll be talking more about all of that at least a little bit later on. But I want to focus on the markets now, why this affected NIO. So why is the market bloody red? Why did we see Nvda sell off, Google down 3%, Amazon down 4%, Tesla down 8%? Why did the market tank like this? Well, there's one main reason, okay? Today, the Fed announced their interest rate decision. They cut the Fed funds future rate by 25 basis points. That's exactly what we predicted. But we got the economic projections report. And as you guys could see, for the first year out, for 1 year out, we're expecting the rates to be at 3.9%. For 2 years out, we're expecting 3.4%. And for 3 years out, we're expecting 3.1%. If you look at the charts, you guys could see that the expectation and what we saw previously was that the numbers were lower than before. So now they're higher. So what does this mean? This means that before, the Fed was telling us that we would see the Fed fund futures rate go down by about almost like not 0.9, sorry, 1.1%. Now it's expected to go down only 0.6%, meaning the Fed is going to continue to cut, but they might not cut as much next year and for the next upcoming years, right? They're going to be cutting a little bit less than expected for the next upcoming years. That's what the projection is suggesting. Why is that? Because of inflation. This is what Jerome Powell was basically hinting at. And he was using PCE inflation as his main metric. So the problem we're having is that all items without food and energy are flat right now. The inflation rate is kind of stuck. And it's also at a relatively high level, still in the 3% area. So that's like core CPI. If anything, this aligned with PCE as well. And if you look at all items CPI, this has been on a slight increase, a slight uptrend for the last couple of months, and the Fed is expecting it to go up a little bit. Now, Jerome Powell was asked specific questions about why they expect that and details like this and that. He just talked about what their economic data suggests, and he said that he can't make promises, though, because we're waiting to see policy changes involving tariffs and factors like that that are still not yet enacted. So it's going to take more time to get those numbers. Jerome Powell, excuse me, guys. Jerome Powell also mentioned that the labor market is contracting. It's not growing as fast as before, but he did claim that the U.S. avoided a recession. We'll see about that, at least going into next year. And then Jerome Powell also mentioned that the economy is still in a decent place. There's been a lot of progress being made. Inflation will eventually reach the 2% target. But like I said before, because of the fact that the data is showing a slight uptick, Jerome Powell did say that this is something the Fed has to be a little bit careful about. And that's why they've made this decision that for their projections, they're not going to be projecting to cut as much next year and for the next 2 or 3 years as we initially expected. That's why the market saw this big rug pull. And then lastly, just know this. As far as earnings goes, for tomorrow, we have minor earnings until we have like Nike and FedEx and BlackBerry after market close. So just keep that in mind. So what do I see for the share prices? What do I think is going to happen? Well, NIO's at this support right here at this 4.3 area. I think the market dropped too hard too fast. So I'm anticipating the market's going to attempt to rebound a little bit tomorrow. And then we'll see if the market makes a lower high to reject and start dipping. But for NIO, I think that this might attempt to get back up to the 4.4s, and we'll have to see if you reject again to start tanking to lower levels. I do want to mention that there is downside potential as we have this gap to fill down at 3.94. If we lose 4.2, I think we will be filling that gap. But before we come all the way down to those lower levels, we might see a little rebound attempt about 4.4 to 4.5. And then we could be turning at least as time goes on. So please keep that in mind, guys. That's going to be very important. As far as SPY goes, we got a massive rug pull all the way down to 586. So I mentioned to everyone there's a range. If we break 608, we would have been bullish. If we had lost 602, I would turn more bearish. We lost 602. That was the first time we lost this range. Then we just started collapsing. So there's a gap to fill all the way down towards 576. We might not come straight down to the gap, but we might attempt to rebound for 590 first. 590 might be coming, maybe a little bit higher. And we'll have to see if we could try to make our way back up. If we make a lower high, which is looking more favorable to me, this could push a bit, then make a move back down. And we could be looking for a move back down to 576. So look for a rebound attempt for 590 or a little bit above that. We'll have to see where this thing tries to top out at. And then if we fail during that rebound, there's going to be that risk over the next couple of weeks of us coming down to fill that gap. That risk is still there, but look for a rebound first just to see how well this performs. ES may attempt to get back up to about closer to 6,000, at least 5,980. I think there might be a small push to the upside with SPY. And then eventually we could dip closer to where these lows are around the 5,800 area. So look for an attempt to rebound first, and we'll see if we get a rejection. For Nvda, we got a rejection as well, hitting 128, which isn't like that bad. I do want to call out the head and shoulders is still existent. There are buyers trying to defend this area, but now it's trying to get bought back up. So we could attempt to push up for the low 130s, 132 to 133. Then we could reject and start dipping down towards 127. If that fails us, we have 125. So to me, that's going to be very important. And I think there's a good chance that this could be dipping a little bit lower. So we could attempt to rebound a little bit towards 132 or so. Then we could be looking for a rug pull after that. And there's going to be a risk of some downside as time goes on. For Bitcoin's looking a little bit weaker right here. We could attempt to rebound for 102,000 or so. And then, if we end up losing 99,738, we're looking for a move back down towards 96,500. Look for a rebound and a dip as the most likely possibility. Then we'll have to see what happens after that. Tesla also should attempt a rebound. We should be trying to retest at least 450. If we reclaim that, then maybe 460 could come. We'll have to see if Tesla could break these highs or not. It's possible we make a lower high, then we come back down. And I want to call out that there is this very, very important imbalance over here at 420. It's possible we do make our way down there, if not towards where this gap will happen to be at 400. So 400 to 420 could be coming for Tesla for a small pullback, but this is just another buying opportunity because I do believe Tesla will run like crazy as time goes on. Now, look for a rebound tomorrow. I think we could be trying to get back up to 450 at the very least. If not, 455 then 460, and we'll see if we get a rejection from there or not. But nonetheless, guys, I think we're doing a fantastic job thus far, and I can't wait to see what else the future holds. So please keep that in mind, guys. I think that we're doing a pretty good job so far, and there could be an attempt to rebound. We'll have to see what happens after that. For NQ has 21,700 as our resistance, then 21,800. If you reject here, there could be a move back down to lower levels, such as 21,250. Unfortunately, there is a risk of more downside on NQ looking at this big red bar, but look for a rebound attempt tomorrow morning. We should attempt to get back up to at least 21,700, then 21,800 above that. And if we make a lower high, this could still turn back down and continue to fall. Looking at the QQQ, okay, I see there's a gap down here. I'm not going to count on that yet. I'm going to be looking at this gap over here. There's a gap close to our 50 EMA around this 509 area. I think we might be filling that gap. This should rebound to at least 520, if not 525 to start things off. And then if we hit that resistance, We try to get back up to 520 to 525, and we can't break past it. If we just like push a bit, then we could start turning, and then we could be coming back down to fill that gap. So look for a rebound attempt, most likely for 520, and then we'll see what kind of reaction we get from there. For Apple, we look a little bit more bearish here. Might retest just under 248, but then I could see this continuing to dip a little bit lower. And it might be a test of 244 coming to eventually 242. So I see some weakness building on this. It had kind of like a delayed reaction compared to the markets. For others out there, we have the IWM looking more bearish. We came all the way down to 220. Unfortunately, it is looking weaker, especially because of the fact that small caps are sinking. This could attempt to rebound for 222, then continue to fall, and there's going to be a risk of essentially 215. So watch that carefully. We have a gap to fill down here. This gap might get filled around 211. So a rebound and continuation lower is the most likely possibility. Coin is looking weaker. Same thing, might retest the 290 area around that range. Then it may continue to dip lower for the gap fill for 270, then eventually this other gap fill for 256. For Amazon, we could rebound for 225, then start dipping for 219. If that fails us, there's a gap to fill down here around 213 that could get filled. Meta has a gap all the way down here. We also have our 50 EMA around 585. Look for a rebound. First, 605 could be coming to 610. I think it might be retesting that range. If we make a lower high, this will continue to dip lower for 588. Microsoft is looking weaker right here. Might attempt to rebound for 444, 440 to 444, and then could reject. I do expect at least 440. And then if it fails, there's another gap to fill down here at 431, which I'm going to be targeting for the time being. Huge gap on Google to fill down here around 177. Might rebound first for 190 to 195. Might make a little attempt to rebound, and then it could turn. If we end up losing support at 186, we're looking for that gap fill, so there's going to be a risk of downside. Right now, the market's looking weak now, especially after what just happened. The VIX has exploded. This thing is at 27.6 right now. I think it's going to cool off a little bit, and then it could attempt to continue to go higher as the market pulls back a bit more. So be careful with the VIX. It's looking strong, and I just want everyone to know about that. So unfortunately, the market's looking more bearish overall. I think that there is a risk of NIO coming down to fill its gap around the 3.9 area, but we haven't officially lost 4.2 yet. Tomorrow morning, we could be looking for an attempt to get back up to 4.4 to 4.5, and we'll have to see if NIO rejects or not off of that. If it does, look for a move back down to the low of the day, and if 4.2 fails us, I think we could be filling the gap down to 3.94. All right, so that's what I'm seeing from my analysis. I want to thank you all so much for listening, so please have a good rest of your day. Sometimes these things happen, guys, especially when there's things outside of NIO's control and outside of the market's control. But it is what it is. We just have to accept it and move on. So I thank you again for listening and have a good day. Thank you and peace out.